Ladies and gentlemen, for too long, the world has told women to shrink, to smile, to be agreeable, to be silent when they should roar. They've told you to sit pretty while others take the seat of power. They've conditioned you to say yes when your spirit is screaming no. But I came to tell you, this year is different. This is the year of the bold woman. This is the year of the unapologetic woman. This is the year when the nice girl lays her mask down and rises as her authentic, powerful self. But in 2025, you are not paying that price anymore. Hear me. You are not required to be soft just to be accepted. You are not required to lower your voice just so someone else can feel comfortable. You are not required to play small just so others can shine. This is your season to stand tall, to speak with authority, to move with strength, to lead without apology. No more silencing your fire to make others comfortable. This is the year of the fierce woman, the wise woman, the unshackable woman. And when you walk into a room, don't you dare walk in quietly. Walk in with your head lifted, your shoulders back, and your purpose blazing. Because 2025 belongs to women who are no longer afraid to take up space, speak their truth, and live in power. For generations, women have been conditioned, molded, and sometimes even chained to the image of the nice girl. You know the script they handed you: smile when you don't feel like smiling. Agree when you know you should disagree. Stay quiet when your spirit is screaming to speak up. Society has placed the nice girl mask on the face of women and applauded them for being agreeable, compliant, and non-threatening. They told you that your value is found in how softly you step, how quickly you forgive, how much of yourself you sacrifice for the comfort of others. Let me tell you this truth: the nice girl era is over. It has expired. It has run its course. It has robbed too many women of their power, stolen too many dreams, and silenced too many voices. The old script is being burned, and a new chapter is being written. In this chapter, women are no longer playing roles that diminish them. They are living out their true, unshakable power. Being nice has cost too much. Think about it. Every time you were nice at the expense of your own boundaries, you taught people that your limits didn't matter. Every time you were nice and swallowed your voice to keep peace, you told the world that your truth wasn't worth hearing. Every time you were nice and let others take advantage of your kindness, you pushed your own dreams to the back of the line. And then you went home, exhausted, drained, and wondering why no one seemed to see your worth. Do not misunderstand me. Kindness is beautiful. Compassion is powerful. Empathy is necessary. But there is a difference between being kind and being silenced. There is a difference between being compassionate and being controlled. There is a difference between extending grace and being treated like a doormat. Nice often isn't about kindness at all. It's about compliance. It's about playing small so others don't feel uncomfortable in your presence. It's about keeping the peace at the cost of your own fire. And that season of life is finished. The nice girl avoids confrontation, but the powerful woman confronts what needs to be confronted. The nice girl waits for permission, but the powerful woman gives herself permission. The nice girl survives, but the powerful woman thrives. You were not created just to survive. You were created to live, to lead, to rise, to shine. When you strip away the mask of nice, something happens inside of you. You begin to realize you don't owe everybody your agreement. You don't owe everybody your energy. You don't owe everybody access to your heart. Your life is too valuable to be spent trying to please people who will never be satisfied no matter how much you give them. The nice girl says, if I keep being agreeable, maybe they'll accept me. But the woman who has awakened to her power says, I don't need your acceptance to validate my existence. The nice girl says, I'll stay quiet so I don't upset anyone. But the powerful woman says, if my truth shakes the room, let it shake, because silence is too expensive. The nice girl says, I'll sacrifice my dreams so others can shine. But the woman who has risen says, my dreams are just as worthy, and my light will shine whether you applaud it or not. So hear me, the end of the nice girl era is not about becoming cruel, harsh, or bitter. No, it is about becoming whole. It is about finally living as the full version of yourself instead of the watered-down version that society demanded. It is about realizing that your worth is not in your ability to please, but in your ability to walk in purpose. The woman of this new era is not reckless. She is bold. She is not unkind, but she is unafraid. She is not cruel, but she is clear. She knows who she is. She knows what she carries, and she refuses to apologize for it. When she says no, she means it. When she says yes, it's because she chose it freely, because she was pressured. When she enters a room, she does not shrink to fit in. She expands to fill it with presence, with wisdom, with fire. 2025 is not for the nice girl. It is for the fierce woman who knows her worth. It is for the woman who is no longer afraid to set boundaries. It is for the woman who no longer asks, will they like me? But instead asks, am I honoring myself? Am I living my truth? Think about how many opportunities you've lost by being too nice. How many times you sat in the back when you should have been in the front. How many times you accepted less than you deserved because you didn't want to upset anyone. How many times you let someone walk all over you because you thought being the bigger person meant being silent. But now you are wiser. Now you understand that peace without self-respect is not peace at all. Now you know that the cost of playing nice is too high. So I challenge you, stop apologizing for existing. Stop apologizing for your voice. Stop apologizing for your ambition. Stop apologizing for taking up space. You are not too much. You are exactly enough. You are not too loud. You are the volume that was required to break the silence. You are not too bold. You are the courage that someone else is waiting to see. The nice girl era is over. It has been buried. It has been laid to rest. This is your season to rise as the unshakable woman, the unstoppable woman, the unapologetic woman. A woman who does not ask the world for permission to live, who commands the world to recognize her presence. When you step into 2025, walk with your head high, your shoulders back, and your spirit unafraid. Do not enter quietly, blending into the background, walking like you belong because you do. Walking like you are worthy because you are. Walk in like you are ready because you have been ready all along. There comes a moment in life when you realize that peace is not something that just falls into your lap. Peace is not automatic. Peace is not cheap. Peace is not found in the approval of people or in the applause of crowds. Peace is something you must fight for, protect, and guard with everything you have. And the weapon, the shield, the line that protects that peace is called boundaries. For too long, you may have lived without them. You said yes when you should have said no. You allowed people access to your time, your energy, your heart, and even your body without questioning if they had earned the right to be there. You gave and gave until you were empty, and still people wanted more. When you tried to pull back, when you tried to protect yourself, they called you selfish. They called you difficult. They said you had changed. Let me tell you, boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are survival. Boundaries are not walls to keep love out. Boundaries are gates that protect what matters most. And if you do not have boundaries, you will never know the sweetness of real peace. Think about it. How many nights of sleep have you lost because you didn't set a boundary? How many times did you let the phone ring with someone's drama, and instead of pressing decline, you answered, and suddenly their storm became your storm? How many times did you say yes to something that drained your soul just because you didn't want to upset somebody? And then you carried the weight of resentment, exhaustion, and frustration, all because you refused to draw a line. Peace cannot exist without boundaries. It's like a garden. If you don't put up a fence, the weeds and wild animals will trample over everything you planted. Your heart, your mind, your energy, these are your garden. Without boundaries, anybody can walk through, leave their trash, take what they want, and leave you with nothing. When you build a fence, when you say, this far and no further, suddenly you begin to protect what is growing inside of you. Boundaries tell people how to treat you. Boundaries are the language of self-respect. Boundaries say, I will not let you talk to me that way. Boundaries say, I will not pour into this relationship if I'm the only one giving. Boundaries say, my time is valuable and I will not waste it. Boundaries say, my energy is sacred. I will not spend it on things that destroy my spirit. And let me assure you, people who truly love you, respect you, value you will not be offended by your boundaries. They will honor them. But people who only used you, drained you, manipulated you will be furious when you set boundaries because your boundaries expose their intentions. That's why some of you struggle with setting boundaries. You're afraid of who you'll lose. You're afraid of who will walk away if you say no. But here's the truth, anyone who leaves because you enforced a boundary was never meant to stay. Peace is too expensive to trade for company that doesn't respect you. Listen carefully. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, what you stop, what you reinforce. If you let people overstep and you stay silent, you are teaching them that your silence is permission. If you speak up once but then cave in, you are teaching them that your no is negotiable. But if you stand firm, if you say, this is the line, and you hold to it, you teach the world that you value yourself enough to protect your peace. Here's what happens when you start protecting your peace with boundaries, clarity comes. Suddenly, you're not carrying everybody else's load. Suddenly, you're not drowning in exhaustion. Suddenly, your mind is clear enough to dream again, to create again, to breathe again. You'll discover that half the chaos in your life was never yours to carry. It belonged to people you refused to set boundaries with. Boundaries are not just about protecting yourself from toxic people. They are also about protecting yourself from your own tendencies. Sometimes the person you need to set boundaries with is yourself. You need to set boundaries with how much you work so you don't burn out. You need to set boundaries with how much you scroll and consume so your mind isn't polluted. You need to set boundaries with how much of yourself you give away freely so you don't run empty. Peace is fragile when you live without boundaries. It slips through your fingers because the noise of everyone else drowns it out. But when you put boundaries in place, you begin to hear the stillness of your own soul again. You begin to recognize what brings you joy and what steals it. You begin to realize that peace is not something you stumble upon. Peace is something you create by choosing carefully what you allow in your life. Don't let guilt trick you. Many women and men too carry guilt when they set boundaries. You feel bad for saying no. You feel selfish for putting yourself first, but guilt is just the echo of old conditioning. You were taught to give until you had nothing left, and now that you're saying, I deserve to be whole, the old voices are rising up. But let me tell you, guilt is not the voice of God, and guilt is not the voice of wisdom. Guilt is the voice of manipulation trying to pull you back into bondage. Don't listen to it. The truth is, when you protect your peace, you become better for everyone around you. You show up with clarity. You show up with energy. You show up with love that is real, not forced, because peace doesn't just serve you. It blesses everyone connected to you. When you are whole, everyone you touch experiences the overflow. But when you are empty, even your best intentions are dry. That is why protecting your peace is not optional, it is essential. So in 2025, make this declaration that my peace is sacred, my time is valuable, my energy is priceless. I will not allow anyone or anything to rob me of my peace or build the fences you need to build. Close the doors you need to close. Stop apologizing for drawing lines. Peace is too precious to live without it. Boundaries are not about keeping the world out. Boundaries are about keeping the best of you safe so that when you give from strength, not weakness. They are about protecting the treasure of your soul because you are too valuable to be wasted. So guard your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Peace is the oxygen of your spirit. Without it, you suffocate. With it, you thrive. All your life, you've been taught to wait. Wait for the right time. Wait for the right opportunity. Wait for somebody in authority to say, now you can move. Now you can speak. Now you can shine. From the classroom to the workplace, from family expectations to cultural traditions, many of us have been conditioned to believe that our destiny is on hold until someone else validates us. But let me tell you a truth that will shatter the chains of hesitation. Permission comes from within. You do not need anyone's signature on your dream. You do not need anyone's approval to pursue your calling. You do not need a panel of people clapping for you before you take the first step. If you wait for others to permit you, you will spend your life standing at a door that was already unlocked, holding keys that were already in your hand. Think about how much time has been wasted waiting for the green light from people who never had the power to give it in the first place. How many years did you keep your gifts hidden because you thought you weren't ready, or because someone else told you it wasn't your turn? How many ideas have died in notebooks because you thought you needed more experience, more connections, or more support before you dared to launch? How many times did you silence your voice in a room because you thought someone smarter, louder, or more established had more right to speak? Here's the reality: you are already qualified. Life itself has trained you. The hardship you survived, the storms you endured, the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still woke up fighting. Those were your credentials. Your scars are your degrees. Your experiences are your certifications. You don't need someone else to stamp approved on what God has already placed inside of you. When you realize that permission comes from within, you stop waiting for applause and start moving in purpose. You stop asking, will they accept me? And you start declaring, I accept myself. You stop holding your dream hostage to the opinions of people who may never understand it. And here's the truth: some people will never give you permission because your rising threatens their comfort. Your growth disrupts their control. Your courage reminds them of the risks they never took. That is why you cannot wait for permission from people who benefit from your silence. Permission comes from within. It comes from the still, unshakable voice inside of you that says, you were born for this, you are ready, you have everything you need. It comes from knowing that every great leader, every great pioneer, every great innovator at some point had to move forward without approval. They had to take the first step when nobody clapped, when nobody encouraged, nobody believed. And sometimes the person you are waiting for permission from is not even other people. It's yourself. Sometimes the greatest battle is not external, but internal. You've convinced yourself you're not ready. You've convinced yourself you don't have enough. You've convinced yourself you need one more degree, one more connection, one more piece of validation before you can move. But here's the truth: you're not lacking resources, you're lacking courage. The door is open, but you won't walk through it because you're waiting for your fear to disappear. Tell you, fear never disappears. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving anyway. So what if you fail? Failure is not final. Failure is fertilizer. It grows you, teaches you, strengthens you. Every great success story is written with chapters of failure. The difference between those who win and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the refusal to let failure stop them. Refusal begins with granting yourself permission to try. When you give yourself permission, everything shifts. Suddenly, your someday becomes today. Suddenly, your maybe becomes yes. Suddenly, the door you thought was locked swings open because you realize you were the one holding the key. You stop begging people to see your worth and start walking as if you know your worth. You stop trying to fit into spaces that were too small for your calling and start creating spaces of your own. Do not misunderstand me. Community is important. Mentorship is valuable. Wise counsel is necessary. But even the wisest mentor cannot live your dream for you. Even the closest friend cannot speak your vision into reality. Even the most supportive family member cannot carry your destiny on their back. At the end of the day, the decision to rise, to move, to act, to believe, that decision rests with you. And until you grant yourself permission, nothing changes. Think of a bird in a cage. The door is wide open, but the bird refuses to fly because it has been conditioned to believe the bars are still there. That is many of us. The limitations that held us yesterday are gone, but mentally we are still trapped. We are waiting for someone to say, you're free. But freedom has been yours all along. Permission comes from within. And let me say this: giving yourself permission does not mean everyone will understand you. Some will criticize, some will question, some will doubt. But you must learn to live free of their approval. You cannot build your destiny with the bricks of other people's opinions. You cannot let your future die in the shadows of their disbelief. You owe it to yourself to move, even if you move alone. Permission comes from within. It comes when you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own lane. It comes when you stop apologizing for your ambition and start embracing it as a gift. Comes when you stop waiting for perfect timing and start realizing that the time will never be perfect, but the opportunity is now. So here's my challenge to you in 2025, stop waiting. Stop waiting for someone else to call your name. Stop waiting for every detail to be figured out. Stop waiting for permission that will never come. Write the book. Launch the business. Start the podcast. Apply for the position. Speak up in the meeting. Walk into the room like you belong, because you do. This year, give yourself permission to live loudly, boldly, unapologetically. Permission to take risks. Permission to shine. Permission to outgrow circles that no longer fit your purpose. Permission to stop explaining yourself to people who will never understand. Permission to be free. Because when you finally understand that permission comes from within, you stop existing and you start living. You stop crawling and you start soaring. You stop waiting for life to happen and you start making life happen. So hear me clearly. You don't need their approval. You don't need their agreement. You don't need their applause. You have the permission. You've had it all along. Now rise and use it. For far too long, many of us have lived in pursuit of acceptance. We've bent ourselves, reshaped ourselves, shrunk ourselves just to hear the words, you belong, you are enough, you are accepted. We've poured endless energy into chasing approval, thinking that if people liked us, applauded us, or validated us, then we would finally feel whole. Acceptance is fragile. It can be given today and taken away tomorrow. People applaud you when you do what they like, but the moment you disagree, the applause stops. People cheer for you when you serve their agenda, but the moment you stand in your own truth, the cheers turn to silence. If your confidence is built on acceptance, you'll spend your life chasing after something that shifts with the wind. But strength, that is different. Strength is rooted deep. Strength does not waver with opinion. Strength does not shrink when approval is denied. Strength does not bow to the fragile applause of the crowd. Strength stands tall even when no one claps. Strength walks forward even when doors close. Strength says, I will not be defined by who accepts me or rejects me. I will be defined by the power inside of me. When you live for acceptance, you will always be controlled. You'll walk into rooms asking silently, will they like me? Will they choose me? Will they see me? But when you live in strength, you walk in with authority, declaring, I belong here whether they accept me or not. I carry value whether they recognize it or not. I am enough whether they affirm me or not. Strength is louder than acceptance because strength cannot be revoked. Acceptance is conditional. Strength is eternal. Acceptance whispers, fit in. Strength shouts, stand out. Acceptance says, please them. Strength says, honor yourself. Acceptance tries to mold you into what others want. Strength calls you to rise into who you were created to be. And here's the danger. Many people spend their entire lives addicted to acceptance. Like a drug, it gives them a temporary high. A compliment makes them feel valuable. Like on social media makes them feel important. A pat on the back makes them feel validated. But the moment the praise stops, they crash. The moment the crowd grows silent, they feel empty. That is because acceptance is not a foundation. It's a crutch. But when you build your life on strength, you don't collapse when the crowd disappears. You don't crumble when the support dries up. You don't stop walking when nobody's watching. Because your strength doesn't come from them. It comes from within. It comes from your resilience. It comes from the lessons learned in your darkest nights. It comes from the faith that carried you through storms. It comes from the fire you walked through and survived. Strength is louder than acceptance because strength speaks even when your mouth is silent. People see your endurance. They see your refusal to quit. They see the way you stand when others expected you to fall. And that strength preaches a louder sermon than any words could ever say. Strength declares, I am still here. I have not been broken. I will not be moved. Some of you have been chasing acceptance so long that you forgot the strength you already carry. You've been waiting for someone else to approve you, to validate you, to welcome you, to include you. What if the rejection you felt was never about your weakness, but about their inability to handle your strength? What if the closed doors, the silent rooms, overlooked opportunities were not a sign that you lacked value, but a test of whether you could still stand strong without their acceptance? You see, strength is proven in the absence of applause. It's easy to feel confident when everyone supports you. It's easy to stand tall when everyone claps for you. True strength is revealed when nobody believes in you, when no one invites you in, when you're walking alone, and you still keep going. That is when strength roars louder than acceptance. Strength tells you to stop begging for a seat at someone else's table and build your own. Strength tells you to stop waiting for a nod of approval and start nodding at yourself. Strength tells you to stop compromising your values to be liked and start standing firm on what you know is true. Strength says, you don't need to be chosen, you already are. And let me tell you, the moment you embrace your strength over acceptance, something shifts. People may not always clap for you, but they will respect you. They may not always invite you, but they cannot ignore you. They may not always approve of you. They will never forget you because strength leaves an imprint acceptance never can. Acceptance is about being liked. Strength is about being remembered. Acceptance fades, strength endures. Acceptance lives in the shallow waters of public opinion. Strength is rooted in the deep foundation of self-respect. And here's the truth. The world does not change through acceptance. It changes through strength. History was not made by people who bowed to approval. It was made by people who stood in their convictions even when the world turned against them. Every great voice, every great leader, every great pioneer had to walk through seasons where acceptance was denied. And yet, because of their strength, the world was forced to listen. So in 2025, stop chasing acceptance. Stop lowering your voice so people won't feel uncomfortable. Stop shrinking so people will like you. Stop bending your values so people will clap. You don't need their nod. You have your own. You don't need their permission. You already carry it. You don't need their acceptance because your strength is louder. When you walk into a room, don't ask yourself, do they like me? Instead, ask, am I standing in my strength? When you make a decision, don't ask, will they accept this? Ask, does this align with my truth? When you wake up in the morning, don't measure your worth by who clapped yesterday. Measure it by the strength that got you out of bed when life tried to knock you down. Strength is louder than acceptance. Strength is the echo that remains when the applause fades. Strength is the foundation that holds you steady when opinions shift. Strength is the voice inside of you that says, I will not be moved. So walk tall, walk strong, walk unafraid, because when your strength speaks, the world listens, even if they don't clap. And when the dust settles, when the crowd disperses, when the noise dies down, your strength will still be standing. And that is louder than acceptance could ever be. Every year, people make promises. They set resolutions. They declare goals. They whisper dreams under their breath, hoping this time things will be different. But too often, same people shrink back at the first sign of criticism. They dim their light because someone else feels uncomfortable. Bury their dreams because they are afraid of being misunderstood. They silence their voices because the world tells them they are too much. No more apologizing for existing. No more apologizing for shining. No more apologizing for your dreams, your ambition, your fire. No more explaining why you think big, love deeply, and believe fiercely. This year, you do not owe anyone an apology for walking boldly in your calling. You see, apology has become the language of too many people's lives. They apologize for saying no. They apologize for asking for what they deserve. They apologize for speaking truth. They apologize for walking away from toxic people and situations. But apology is not always humility. Sometimes it is bondage. Sometimes it is the chain that keeps you bound to people who were never meant to define you. To rise unapologetically means to stop seeking permission and stop bowing to opinions. It means to live in such a way that your steps are guided by purpose. Fear, it means to take up space without guilt. It means to dream without shrinking. It means to lead without waiting for applause. And let me tell you why this is urgent, because the world will never stop demanding your apology. If you are strong, they'll say you're intimidating. If you are quiet, they'll say you're weak. If you speak your truth, they'll say you're arrogant. If you hold your peace, they'll say you're irrelevant. The world will always find a reason to tell you to shrink. And if you keep apologizing, you'll spend your life bowing when you were born to rise. To rise unapologetically means you stop watering yourself down so people can handle you in small doses. You stop dimming your light so others won't feel overshadowed. You stop playing small in rooms you were born to transform. Because the truth is this: when you rise, you don't just rise for yourself, you rise for everyone connected to you. Your rising gives permission for someone else to rise. Your courage sparks courage in others. Your unapologetic strength opens doors for others who are watching quietly, waiting for a sign that they too can stand tall. Think about it, every voice that ever changed history was unapologetic. They didn't rise cautiously. They didn't tiptoe around opinions. They didn't say, "I'm sorry for who I am." They stood boldly even when the world turned against them. And their strength outlived the noise of their critics. That same spirit is in you. But to rise unapologetically, you must release the fear of rejection. Some people will not understand your rising. Some people will be offended by your confidence. Some people will walk away when you refuse to bend to their expectations. And that's okay. Let them go. Their departure is not your loss. It is your release. Because the higher you rise, the more you realize you cannot carry everybody with you. To rise unapologetically also means setting boundaries without guilt. It means saying no without explaining yourself. It means protecting your time, your energy, and your heart with the seriousness of a guardian watching over treasure. Because your peace is priceless and you are no longer trading it for approval. This year, when you walk into rooms, you will not shrink, you will not whisper, you will not second guess your value. You will walk in with authority. You will walk in with clarity. You will walk in with the confidence that says, "I belong here. I don't need to apologize for it." And let me tell you this, rising unapologetically does not mean arrogance. It does not mean disregarding others. It does not mean stepping on people to climb higher. No, rising unapologetically means living in the fullness of who you are without fear and without shame. It means loving fiercely, leading boldly, and living authentically. It means you don't dilute yourself to make others comfortable. You don't silence yourself to make others feel powerful. You don't abandon yourself to make others stay. This is the year to rise unapologetically in your work. Don't apologize for wanting success. Don't apologize for asking to be paid what you're worth. Don't apologize for dreaming bigger than the box you were put in. This is the year to rise unapologetically in your relationships. Don't apologize for wanting loyalty, respect, and love that's real. Don't apologize for walking away from what diminishes you. Don't apologize for demanding reciprocity. This is the year to rise unapologetically in your faith, in your creativity, in your calling. Don't apologize for the fire in your bones. Don't apologize for the vision that keeps you awake at night. Don't apologize for building something that others cannot see yet. You were not created to hide. You were created to shine. So let me ask you, how much longer will you keep apologizing for who you are? How much longer will you let fear silence you? How much longer will you keep your wings folded because people are uncomfortable with your flight? How much longer will you trade your destiny for their approval? Enough is enough. This is the year. This is the moment. This is the time. Rise unapologetically. Rise in strength. Rise in truth. Rise in courage. Rise in love. Rise in power. Because when you rise, the world cannot ignore you. And when you rise unapologetically, you inspire others to stop apologizing too. So in 2025, don't you dare shrink. Don't you dare hide. Don't you dare mute your voice. Walk boldly. Speak loudly. Dream wildly. Live fully. Because this is the year you rise, and you rise unapologetically.